Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone, from wherever you're joining. It's my pleasure to welcome you for this DSS Asia. We have an exciting lineup of speakers who will be sharing today insights around distributed SQL. We also have customers who will be discussing about their unique use cases and experience using distributed SQL technology. So I highly encourage you to explore various sessions that are being offered, and I'm sure if you like some of the sessions, I would highly recommend you to tune into those. And all these sessions are recorded. I hope these sessions are informative and provide you a broader perspective and inspire you to kind of use the distributed SQL technology. Coming back to specifically this session, so I have Felix Jonathan from Tokopedia. We are going to have a conversation where Felix will dwell into some of the challenges that Tokopedia has faced in managing massive amounts of data and how distributed SQL has played a crucial role in solving some of these challenges. We'll probably, to be more specific, we'll talk about data consistency and scalability, resiliency, and how Tokopedia leveraged on distributed SQL to provide better user experiences and for their customers and merchants, right? With that, Felix, welcome to the session. Before we get started, just to introduce myself, I am Vish Fanindra. I am responsible for running the solution engineering and customer success for Yugabyte. Felix, before we get started, maybe given that we've been working with you and your team for the last couple of years, maybe for everyone's benefit, can you talk a little bit about Tokopedia? Who is Tokopedia and what do you do there?
Sure, Fish. I think I have some slide to explain about Tokopedia. Let me share my slide. Okay.
Sure, Felix. Yeah.
Is my screen visible?
It is coming up.
Okay. Okay, cool. So let's talk about Tokopedia. So Tokopedia is one of the biggest e-commerce companies in Indonesia. And Tokopedia was founded in 2009 and has grown to become a pivotal company in the growth of the Indonesian economy. And our mission is to democratize commerce through technology. And Tokopedia is one of the world's top 20 e-commerce players. And the interesting part is Tokopedia contributes to more than 1% of the Indonesian economy. We offer online marketplace services and complementary businesses in fintech, payment, logistics, and new retail. And Tokopedia has merged with Gojek, the largest courier delivery and ride-hailing service in Indonesia, to form the go-to holding company in 2021, which contributes to 2% of the Indonesia economy.
That's massive. Felix. 1% on Tokopedia itself, and with the merger, GoTo contributes to 2% of Indonesian economy is very, very interesting. Thanks for that. Maybe can you talk a little bit about your role at Tokopedia?
Sure, Fish. So at Tokopedia, I'm working as a technical architect. So my primary responsibilities include designing, improving, and providing technical solutions to various teams. Specifically, I'm responsible for handling the seller data platform and analytics, seller dashboard, and price recommendation engine. So this system helps sellers make a data-driven decision by understanding their shop performance and product pricing compared to other sellers. So, and another crucial aspect of my role is to assist teams at Tokopedia with database migration to Yugabyte. ensuring a successful migration without downtime or user experience impact is a top priority. I provide insights on migration plan, capacity planning, database schema, and how to do it effectively. Throughout my tenure at Tokopedia, I have also been involved in other critical services, such as the official store, flash sales, and trading.
That is interesting. I think we definitely need to dwell into some of those use cases at a later part of the session. But just curious to understand, Felix, how long have you been with Tokopedia?
I've been in Tokopedia for 6 years, almost 6 years.
Interesting. So then you might have seen Tokopedia transformation in the last 6 years. Maybe if I may, if I might ask, maybe can you provide some details on Tokopedia's cloud native journey, and more specifically on a couple of things, right? On two things, if I were to put it. Maybe, how did Tokopedia evolve more from the infrastructure standpoint and more on the application stack, how you evolve and basically, if you could address how you guys evolved, that would be really helpful.
Sure. That's an interesting question, actually. So there are two aspects in Tokopedia Cloud Native. The first one is infrastructure modernization. So prior to 2017, we used to run our infra in private data center and relied on a standalone server, which resulted in several issues, such as difficulty in scaling up due to the need to purchase a new server, which took time, and inability to downscale as the unutilized server incurred wastage of money. And maintenance was also challenging as it required physical upkeep, and server failures due to blackouts, maybe disaster or hardware problem. To address this problem, we made a decision to migrate to the cloud in 2017, which provide benefits such as scalability, cost effectiveness, and no longer worrying about server failures, with a guarantee from the cloud provider through a service level agreement. And Tokopedia implemented a multi-cloud strategy, and we run application workloads across several cloud hosting environments. This strategy was adopted to reduce dependency on a single cloud provider, make use of the best cloud provider, and increase flexibility. And in 2021, we further enhanced our strategy with a highly available interconnect using active multi-cloud interconnects for multiple vendors to ensure the reliability of the connection between multiple cloud providers. So you have heard about the infrastructure modernization, and let's continue to the second part. This is about the application modernization. So Tokopedia started from a monolithic architecture, and now Tokopedia currently runs its application based on a microservice-oriented architecture. So each application provides a set of well-defined API that can communicate with other applications. The service registration and discovery is currently handled also by console. And we see a lot of benefits by implemented microservices, such as it's improving the scalability and productivity, and we reduce the cost of scaling, and better fault isolation, and so on.
I see. So glad to hear that you were running on on a physical data center and you kind of moved to cloud. And I also see that you talked about the application modernization. Maybe if I may ask, what about the data modernization, and why did Tokopedia decide to go with distributed SQL?
Okay, nice. Before going further, I want to explain about traffic at Tokopedia. I have a slide also. Just give me a moment. Okay, here we go. So in Tokopedia, we have over 11 million merchants and more than 100 million active users on a daily basis. We process millions of transactions and updates on product. And in order to maintain an acceptable level of system uptime and latency, we need to be able to scale up with the increasing number of transactions, especially during events and pandemic. We have observed a significant growth in the number of users and transactions during the pandemic, which has emphasized the need of a distributed SQL database at Tokopedia. While most of our services are currently using Postgres as a database, some teams are using MySQL and other, some kind of managed services. However, traditional database have limitation in scaling, especially for wide requests, as they store all the data in a single node. And to overcome this challenge, we need a feature technology like distributed SQL that can enable us to go with a highly scalable system. It provides fault tolerance to our system by storing data in multiple nodes with defined replication factors. And the interesting part is we can place every node in different zones, regions, or even different data centers, which ensures that even if a zone, region, or data center goes down and affects one or more nodes, the distributed database can still run if it's configured correctly. In summary, so the primary purpose of distributed database in Tokopedia is to facilitate massive weights with the unlimited scalability, zero downtime, and fault tolerance.
I see. Interesting. So in a way, COVID accelerated your transformation of data layer. So what I understand is you have been using, at Tokopedia, Postgres and MySQL. And given that there are, 100 million active users with millions of merchants, and you have to process a lot of transactions. And that's one of the primary reason why you had to go for a distributed SQL that offers scale. It can run across multiple clouds, and it even can run across multiple zones, multiple availability zones, and multiple regions. So all of this provided benefits in terms of providing better customer experience and so on and so forth, right? Did I summarize that correctly? And that allowed you to be able to write a lot of data. It allowed customers to be able to read, especially when there are these sales that happen on a monthly basis.
Yes, that's right.
Did I summarize that correctly, Felix?
Yes, that's right, Fish.
Awesome. Maybe for everyone's benefit, Yugabyte offers multi API. The Postgres API, which is very much compatible, and maybe it'll be helpful if you could give some examples around what are the APIs, given that we have two APIs. Are you using both the APIs to meet your business needs? Are you using a specific API? Maybe I want to ask that, maybe followed by the use cases. Maybe you did talk during your introduction that you were involved in unified order history and various other product service and various other services. If you could touch on that as well, that will be helpful for the audience.
Sure, sure. So actually at Tokopedia, several systems use YugabyteDB, both YSQL and YCQL APIs. Just to name, two critical systems that use YugabyteDB are the Unified or Order History Service and the Product Service. So the Unified Order History Service is a critical service that provides order lists for all unit businesses at Tokopedia, while the Product Service is a critical service that provides information for products owned by sellers. And to ensure that the system are able to cater the growth of transaction and products, we need the capability to scale out to unlimited nodes. The use of a distributed database enables us to achieve this capability. And additionally, the system need to be highly available, and we cannot tolerate any downtime. To achieve this, we spread the Yugabyte nodes across multiple zones with a replication factor of 3 minimum. So by doing this, we are able to achieve a fault-tolerant service.
I see. And how frequently do you make any changes at application level? Do you guys do a lot of changes at an application level as well, so that when you want to scale out and when you want to make certain changes, is this done in a frequent fashion?
Yes, please. It's done in a frequent fashion because, for the example, in 1 month, for a month, we can have multiple event, and yeah, it needs a good scalability also, right? So we need we have to spawn more nodes to achieve the traffic that we want.
I see. That's good to know. So maybe given that Tokopedia is very much engineering focused, you guys have a lot of development and engineering teams, and just would like to understand how these teams are getting benefited from YugabyteDB. Maybe what are the features that these teams find really helpful?
Okay. So one advantage of YugabyteDB at Tokopedia is that Yugabyte supports both YSQL and YCQL APIs. It's eliminating the need for multiple database stacks and making maintenance and management easier. While some of Tokopedia service rely heavily on Apache Cassandra and Scylla, Yugabyte can cover SQL and Cassandra use cases in a single stack. And additionally, YCQL has benefits over Cassandra, including being implemented in C++. It's eliminating the need for garbage collector tuning and making scaling easier. YugabyteDB also offers strong consistency, unlike Cassandra, which is eventual consistency. And another advantage of YugabyteDB is that it supports most PostgreSQL features through its YSQL API. This means that Tokopedia can reuse PostgreSQL development experience, making development in Yugabyte easier and simplifying database migration without needing to change the code. And YugabyteDB also offers the read replica and followers reads, which can improve query execution by distributing the read workload across all replicas in the primary cluster without impacting the primary cluster itself.
Great, great to hear that the teams are moving from Postgres in order to get the benefits of scale, resiliency, and being able to handle reads in a more isolated fashion using read replicas and all that. Maybe at a very high level, if you could touch a little bit around Given, you did mention, Felix, around that you migrated from Postgres to Yugabyte. Maybe at a high level, you did touch again, you did mention that you were able to simplify the overall database migration part. Can you quickly touch on what was that experience like migrating from Postgres? That is number one. And probably I also have something to understand more from you around, given that Yugabyte, maybe you can touch on a little bit on the Yugabyte deployment at Tokopedia and how you manage the data replication across multiple nodes, and what are some of the challenges that you faced. It's not about always, hey, Yugabyte is yes, Yugabyte provides you with all the features, but maybe from a learning standpoint, what are some of the challenges that you faced when you're deploying this across multiple nodes, and how do you manage replication, or when you have multiple clusters? If you could talk about two things, the Postgres experience of migration and Yugabyte deployment at Tokopedia, and what are some of the challenges and how you handle those challenges?
Okay, so actually for the migration to Yugabyte, especially on Postgre one, it's really simple actually, because as I mentioned before that most of the Postgres feature we have it in YugabyteDB, so we don't need to touch anything actually. Just to we need just to migrate the data itself to the Yugabyte. So actually at Tokopedia we use Kafka and Debezium for doing a migration, and it's really simple actually. We just need to create some of the table in the Yugabyte and setting a connectors, send it to the Kafka, and transfer it back to YugabyteDB. And actually at Tokopedia we have SOP also for the Yugabyte deployment. So for Yugabyte cluster, it needs a minimum of 3 nodes spread across 3 different zones. And the replication factor of it must be at least 3. And however, the main challenge lies in the determining the optimal replication factor. So because of while increasing the replication factor, it can enhance fault tolerance, of course, but it can also impact the wait latency, as more nodes need to be updated synchronously.
Yeah, that is an important point, right? I think while we were working, our team was working with Tokopedia. I think that's where we had to collaborate with you to understand the criticality of the applications, and we were able to set the right replication factor, so that it has the best of providing the latency requirements or handling the latency requirements that Tokopedia had, and at the same time also it reduces the footprint broadly. But Felix, I think one of the things that we've done with your team over the last couple of years, I know you've your teams have been using Kafka and Debezium. We also, I think, the big thanks to the Tokopedia team, and broadly, we worked with many other customers. So we even have the database migration service, which we announced a couple of months ago, called Voyager. Voyager actually helps in doing the database migration much easier, especially if the source database is being Oracle or Postgres or MySQL. You could very well, the tool will be able to provide read through all the database objects. It provides with a proper assessment as to how much of it can be deployed as is, and what is the fine tuning that needed to be done to take advantage of a distributed SQL. So I think maybe for the future engagements, we should really look at using Voyager as a tool to migrate, so that you don't even have to worry about again using a Kafka or a Debezium, and it all comes with the Voyager that we offer. So that's
nice.
good. Felix, any other last comments from your side? I know we've really touched on quite a number of things, more around your cloud native journey. You talked about why you did a data layer modernization and how distributed SQL helped, and you touched on the two APIs, the YSQL and the YSQL APIs, and Tokopedia today uses both of them under one common storage substrate. And you talked about how development teams and engineering teams are getting benefited with some of the capabilities of Yugabyte. And lastly, you did talk about the deployment architecture. Any other last comments from your side, Felix, around Yugabyte in general? Where do you think we could help or so?
No, I think it's all good for now.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, thanks a lot for your time, Felix, and thanks for everyone that tuned into this session. Really appreciate your time. And as I mentioned, we have an amazing speaker lineup. I would highly recommend you to tune into any session that you feel is relevant, and have a good DSS Asia. Thank you so much.